Okay, now in order to demonstrate more or further usage of slices and ranges, we want to look at passing a sequence to a function. And if you're coming from other languages, you know what it means. You have a method or a function that takes arguments. That's literally what we are talking about here. And what I'm trying to say here is, let us assume a function gets an argument, and this argument could be anything, but we want to look at, for example, like an array with a certain number of items within that array, probably integers, and that function returns the smallest number in this array. That's all we want the function to do. Pass an array as an argument to the function and let the function manipulate the array to return the smallest number. And we are going to see how you can use ranges in order to pull off this. Now we want to make a function called minimum, literally, and minimum is an array, and this array is an array of i32 or integers, and we want to have maybe eight items within the array. It should return an i32 integer. Now we want to create a variable here. So create a variable minimum. This variable needs to be mu for obvious reasons, because it will be changing over time. So it starts as the first element within the array. We initiate it to 0, or we point at 0 element of the array, sorry, not at 0. And now we want to use a for loop, iterate through this array I in from 1 to the array dot length. Remember, we are looking at the first, so we don't need to start from 0 here. So because array starts from this, so we can start. We have that liberty to start from 1. And for you, if you want to get the smallest, and Copilot is finishing up this, but I think we will go with that. So if the array, if the any given item at any given iteration is less than if it is less than the minimum, you look at the next element. If it is less than the minimum, then you want to change from the previous to that next element. I don't know whether that makes sense. Minimum, okay. You want to change the minimum, be careful with the spelling minimum, to that next less or like smaller element I in the array. So basically that's what we want to do. So the minimum changes, so we want to keep iterating until we find the smallest within the array. Literally, that's what is happening here. So you keep, if the array I, that the current value that we are looking at, we are from the first, we are pointing at it, but if the second, which is the one here that we are starting with, is less than the first element we are looking at, that means this first element is bigger now. That's the notion. And now we want to shift the focus to the next element, which is within the array I. Now that means we can iterate that and literally generate the smallest element, or find the smallest element within the array. So that means we have the minimum there that comes out or is returned at the end of the array. We have the minimum. Certainly we want to print out and see, so we can come to the main function here. Maybe I'll say print println. I love println because it creates a new line, and we want to print minimum of that. Maybe I hope this is 8. So we know that the minimum element there is 1, and calling this would be rest c, and doing that. So we see 1 there. Yeah, basically that's what we wanted to achieve. But this program, yes, it gets the right element, but there are some problems or drawbacks with it if you look at it closely. One of the first problem is it gets as argument a copy of the whole array. Like the argument it gets, it does a copy of the whole array, and that requires significant time. If this array was huge, that would be a performance issue. So because there is time to transfer that array, and then occupying it ends up occupying a significant stack and cache space. So that's the first drawback. 2, the second drawback is it cannot receive the request to process just a portion of the array. It has to process the entire array. And if we want to process just a given from maybe the 1st to the 5th, it can't do that. And I think the second is it can receive only 8 numbers here. In this case, if we pass an array, in this case of 9, if we increase the size here, it would get a compilation error. Then another thing that we see here, it only deals with vectors. It cannot deal with it deals with arrays. It cannot deal with vectors. We need to modify this function and to solve those drawbacks. So to solve the first drawback, which is like it makes a copy of the whole array, we can pass the array by reference instead of passing the array by value. So I hope you know what passing value and passing by reference, what it means. So we'll create a new function, maybe min2, and we are passing the array r, and since we are passing by reference, meaning we use the ampersand there, and the array is i32, still 8 elements, and it returns a 32 integer. We will have still a mutable variable minimum equaling to the first. Literally it won't change much. Okay, we want to create a for loop for I in from 1 to array.length. What do you want to do? You want to create the same if statement. If r of I, or if array of I, we are indexing that, is less than the minimum, what do you want to do? You want to make the minimum, like what we did, equaling to array I, the ith element in the array. So you want to get out of the for loop and get the minimum element. So if we are to test the second function, min2, let's print and see. Somehow I think I should comment out that this means we can have C there. We are getting problems there, and the problem is even this we need to pass by a reference. I think that's what it is trying to say. Okay, good thing there about Rust. Okay, we are good now. And then we still get time. Sorry, we still get 1, but it looks the same, but these two functions are different in performance and execution. You would only see the difference if these two were huge arrays. So we are going to see the next drawbacks, how to solve them in the next videos. But for this video, this is how we are using ranges and slices, and you're going to see more fundamental usages of slices, how we can manipulate a given like sort of interval or a slice within an array. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.